Piano teacher Tim here. Welcome out to another live stream. Today we are going to learn how to count basic rhythms. And actually this is a kind of like a live review of a lesson I just put out a week ago called How to Count Basic Rhythms. I think the 2025 complete guide or something like that. So make sure to check out that video either before or after this one. I will try to link it to you in the description. But today we are going to be reviewing a lot of the concepts I talked about in that video, including some opportunity to finally practice. So this is a live lesson. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Always love to hear from new and returning students. So how's everybody doing today? And usually, as always, actually, I should say, is that I have a question that I kind of want to lead you guys off with, which is, what do you struggle with? Well, let me put it this way. Do you know about 6/8 time signature? That's all I want to know. Do you know about it? Do you know how many beats it is? Have you played in 6/8 time signature? Are you really familiar with that? That's all I want to know. Are you familiar with 6/8 time signature? All you got to say is yes or no, and I'm making you do it. I'm not moving on until I get a yes or no. But I just want to say hi to some people in the chat real quick. We have Sari here, Mark, and Finn. Thanks for coming today. And Jan, sorry for that. I'm familiar with 3/4, they say. Okay, very good. That kind of lets me know where you guys are at. Let me change one thing. There we are. Now we got the chat in here. Sorry about that, guys. So I've been moving things around the last few days or so, so I'm trying to adjust here. So anyway, guys, yes, we got a yes there for knowing 6/8. Well, let's get started here with what I want to talk about and go over today. Measures and beats is the first thing I want you to really think about when learning rhythm, because knowing these two things is kind of the foundation of what everything's based on. And we'll take a look at, everything in a second. So the first point I want to make is that music is broken into boxes called measures, right? So if I do this and we change it here to here, I want you to notice that music, right, is kind of blocked off into these blocks right here. You see how there's treble clef and bass clef? And then they're kind of divided by this vertical line right here. Well, that is what we call a measure. So that was measure 1. Here's measure 2. Here's measure 3, and so forth. I think it's pretty easy to understand. And I like to think of a measure as a box, because a box can fit a certain amount of things in it, right? A certain amount of soda cans, a certain amount of shoes. In this case, our boxes are being filled with beats, right? And a beat is like a regular interval of sound that kind of drives the song along. So a beat would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's like the heartbeat of the song, right? And we can have so many of those in each measure. And you could hear that I was counting to 4, which is the perfect point I want to make, because we are in what's called 4/4 time signature. So this thing right here, let me bring this up. Get us all situated here. Why is it not doing that? Oh, sorry. That's because I had that highlighted there. Boom. There we go. Sorry. Technical glitches, well, human glitches, brain glitches, I should say, abound. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this, right here. Notice how there's a 4/4 up top, 4/4 on the bottom. You only need to worry really about one of them because they're both the same thing. That tells you, especially the top number, is going to tell you how many beats fits in each of these boxes, right? So here there's 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are called quarter notes, these guys. And they're each worth 1 beat. You can tell a quarter note right away because it has what's called a filled-in head, and then it has that stem going up off of it. So whenever you see that, we're dealing with quarter notes. Those are worth 1 beat, especially in 4/4. Now, we'll talk about the bottom number a little bit later. That's kind of like where my 6/8 question came in. But just know that the top number there right here tells you how many beats in each measure. Now let's go to this measure. We're only counting the treble clef, or the top line right now. And I have a question for you about this next measure is, why is there only one note in this measure? And I'm actually going to answer this for you because I want to keep things moving along here in the beginning. This is a whole note. Notice how it doesn't have a stem on it like the quarter notes did? It's just open and no stem on it. And that is worth 4 beats alone. So that's why there's only one of them. Get it? Because that's how math works. We have another 4 quarter notes. Makes sense. And then 1 whole note. So all of our math is adding up so far. Now, what I want to teach you next, no, I don't have it written here, which is fine, are half notes, because you have to know about those. And a half note, let me move this away. I wish you could hide this, that little bar there. I can't, it doesn't let me do it. Anyway, these things up here are half notes. And they are, as you can tell, there's 2 of them in each measure, or in a measure of 4/4. Therefore, how many beats do they get? What do you think? They get 2 beats each. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I'm first learning rhythms, I like to chart out the amount of beats that it takes up. That takes up 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to make sure that you're counting nice and evenly. You don't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because there's a weird gap in there. You want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And Michael has it exactly right. Exactly. We have 2 beats here. Each of these are worth. All right. Any questions so far? I see that Michael has a hand. I'm not sure if that's like a hand raise or if that's like I'm here. So if you have a question, Michael, let me know. I will check in and make sure I get that answered for you. And if you have any questions along the way, everybody, let me know. I love to communicate with the chat here, kind of coming up with some ideas for future videos or lessons on how we can get some more engagement going along. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions, but let's continue for now. Let's go back here. And okay, just making sure measures in particular like to hold beats, which are regular pulses of percussive sound. Okay, so we did cover all that. You know, you can take note of those little notes if you need. Time signatures, we actually went over these. I worked ahead a little bit. I do want to go to this point right here where it says example 3 out of 3/4 or 3/4, as we'll talk about in a second. The top number tells us 3. So let's do an example of 3/4 just to make sure you got it. So remember, what did I tell you that the top number signified? See if you can answer it by the time I answer it, or before, in the comments. So anyway, we're going from 4/4 to 3/4. The difference is that top number, right? Nothing on the bottom has changed. We went from 4/4 to 3/4. And 3/4 tells us, so Michael was just saying hi, that's no problem. 3/4, you got it, tells us 3 beats in each measure. So let's get this here, and let's write out 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, right? You play it 1, 2, 3. And the point I was making is when you are counting these, you want to count as evenly as possible. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that even beat that you're following and the speed at which you're counting it is called the tempo. So a fast tempo would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Slow tempo would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But whether it's slow or whether it's fast, they got to be even. That's right. All right, guys, the number of beats in each measure. Exactly. Thank you, Tech ID Nation. I love your name. Let's continue on to the next one. Oh, I have a question for you. Okay. A lot of students, when they're first learning these, they get confused for no reason because they think, oh, aren't there now 6 beats in this measure? Well, this is very, 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 very important. This will actually help you play piano more accurately as well, is that when you're reading music, everything lines up in a vertical column. So this is beat 1, this is beat 2, and this is beat 3. Because if you think about it, the top staff and bottom staff, together called the grand staff, those are supposed to be played at the same time, so long as they line up vertically, right? So this would just be played 1, 2, 3, like that. All right, very good. Seems like we're doing good so far. All right, let's continue on with this. Okay. I guess it's a question too. If I had a time signature of 7/8, how many beats can fit in each measure? Remember that the top number is 7 and the bottom number is 8, right? I didn't really tell you what the bottom number meant yet, so I kind of gave you the answer. So how many beats in each measure? I'm only 7. Yes, good. You guys are catching on now because I keep saying I'm only moving on until you answer, and you guys are like right on it right now. I love it. It's working. The psychology is working. It's for good measure though. It's not tricky psychology. Let's talk about. We talked about note durations. Note durations is like how long you have to hold each note. And we'll talk more about 6/8 and 7/8 here in just a second. So actually, I kind of worked ahead too far here. I have a question for you though. I don't want you to answer this yet. If you know the answer to this, answer it. But I actually have something I want to cover because I just realized, and this is why I write notes to follow along with, because I realized I missed an explanation here of what we call the dotted. I said the dotted half note. So it's a half note. It's got a dot on it, and it's worth 3 beats. Now, this is very, 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 very important. Why is this worth 3 beats? And this is where the dotted half note or whole note will come in a second. The dot, what it does is it adds half of the note's value back to itself. So if the half note's 2, the dot is actually worth 1, right? Half of 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and that's why it's worth 3. And if the second question I had is what note can finish out the measure? And, oh, you know why it turned red, right? Because I thought we were in 4/4. We actually are still in 3/4. Therefore, our dotted half note here is enough. One thing I want to cover real quick, too, is while we're here, is the dotted quarter note. How many beats? And this time I'm not moving on unless you tell me. How many beats in the dotted quarter note? If a quarter note was worth, if you remember, plus half of whatever that was, equals. And some of you did get the dotted whole note question right, but I'm not going to tell you who got it right yet. But tell me, how many dotted quarter notes? 1.5 exactly, right? You take 1 plus half of 1, which is 0.5, and it's 1.5 beats. So how in the world are we going to count 1.5 beats? Well, we have to learn how to count half a beat first, and we're going to do that in just a second here. So brings me to the next point here. There we go. What if we had 4 beats? Let's change back to 4/4 for a second. There it is. We're back in 4/4 again, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is our beat. What if we wanted to double time it and have twice as many notes for each beat? It would be counted something like 1, 2, 3, 4, because there is such a note, and that is called an eighth note. You've probably seen these before. So whenever they're beamed across like that, see how they're connected? Those are eighth notes, and they're worth half of a beat. If you have a single eighth note by itself, it's going to look like that. It like gets chopped off, and then that flag kind of just falls off to the side, just to kind of show you visually what that's going to look like, right? All right, good. So now we have our 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I have a pro tip for you, okay? I don't even think I covered this in my lesson somehow, and I have mentioned it on the channel before, but this tip is going to make your life so much easier. And this is true 99% of the time. I know somebody is going to tell me about the 1% of the time in the comments, and hey, that's okay. And let's take a look here. When notes are beamed across, they usually equal 1 beat. And hey, I got 4 circles now for each of our 4 beats. And this really comes in handy like when you start getting like really more complicated rhythms. You can tell that they're grouped together is one beat like that. Now, there is a tricky thing they like to do. I have no idea why they do this. I don't like that they do this at all. It's honestly one of the most annoying things I've come across. Here's the exception. Eighth notes, for some reason, somebody maybe can tell me in the comments, for some reason they love to beam these in 4 at times. I don't know why, but if you see one flag across all of them, they're still just eighth notes. It's just that we have 2 beats here instead of 1. So you just gotta be careful. There's this one exception. You're gonna see it like 1% of the time. The other 99% of the time, it's gonna be like this. So use the circles, circle each beat as it helps you, but always be cognizant of what beats you're actually playing to make sure that everything lines up. All right, sounds good. Now that brings us back to this question, because the question was, this beat was worth 1.5, right? And so how do we count that? That's really the question we have. Well, to answer this question, I want to ask you another question, which is how many beats or how many halves are in 1.5? Because the reason I'm asking you this question is because now these eighth notes are all worth half of a beat, right? And so now we can actually answer this question. But I do want to cover one more thing on how to count these eighth notes. So I told you that you could circle them to figure out where each of the beats was. But if you really want to account for the second half of each beat, you have to add what's called and to each half of the beat. And this really helps you dissect, like, okay, this is the first half of beat 1. This is the second half of beat 1. This is first half of beat 2, second half of beat 2. And we actually use the term beat 3, the and of beat 3. So the and of beat 3 just means the second half of beat 3. Very important that you get this basic concept. So the question was, how many halves in 1.5? And the answer is 3. So what I want you to do, or we're going to do it together. So that's 1.5. And we're going to take a look over here. Remember, I said each of these is now worth a half, each one. 1 and 2 and half each, right? Because they're each half of a beat. So therefore, when we're counting the dotted quarter note, there's 3 halves in 1.5, right? There's a half. There's another half that makes one whole beat. And then there's another half. So there's 3 halves. And if we're looking at each of these representing a half, it's going to take up 1, which is one part. It's going to take up and, which is the second part. And it's going to take up the first half of beat 2, which is the third part. Now let's make this a little simpler on ourselves and write out the rest of this measure. This is a very common rhythm you're going to find where you have dotted quarter note, eighth, quarter, quarter. And let's figure this out now. So remember what I just said, that this is going to take up what beats? It's going to take up 1 and 2. Remember. So it's going to take up 1 and 2. And what do you think this eighth note's going to fall under? It's going to fall under and, right? Because that's the next half of the beat. And then you actually have 3 and, 4 and, because these are quarter notes, right? They're going to take up both halves of each beat, like that. And so I'm just going to underline how much this dotted quarter takes up. You got that. Got that note. I like to draw the little underlines. They just tell me how long I'm holding each note for. It helps me grab it visually, right? So here we go. It's just going to be counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'll do it one more time for you guys if you're new. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So very, very good. Well, very, very good. I explained everything, but that's okay. I want to, let's do a couple brain teasers together to make sure we got that. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions now, but I do have to write a couple of things out. So let me do this. Just give me a second, guys. And let's see what we got. Okay. All right, I have a question for you. This measure right here, we're in 4/4. The question is, first question, we're only moving on if you guys answer the question right. The first question is how many beats, or do I have enough? Okay, this is the first question for real. Do I have enough beats in this measure? Yes or no? That's all I'm asking right now. So you got to tell me yes or no. Do I have enough beats to complete 4 beats in this measure? No. Finn got it right away. I love your quick answers, Finn. The answer is no, right? And the second question I have for you is how many beats do we have? So how many beats do we have? That's the second part of your question, right? Well, that's how many beats that are total, Trixie. So we do have 4 beats total, right? That's not technically wrong, but we actually have less than 4 beats because we don't have enough beats yet. So the answer is no. That is correct. We don't have enough beats. Hey, what's up, Zabros? I'm doing well. How about yourself? 3. So 1. Wait a second. Wait, 1 and... Wait, let's chart this out. 1. Why is it doing that? There it is. All right, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, I was right. We have only 3 complete beats here, right? So this takes up 1 and. I was second guessing myself. I still do that after all these years sometimes. So we have 3 complete beats here, right? So we have 1 and then you have 2 and 3 and. So we have actually not 3.5 beats, we have 3 full beats. Because remember, the 3 and, I do see why you said 3.5, but the 3 and together actually equals beat 3, right? So 1 and together, that's 1 beat. And that makes sense because that's, those are beamed together. And then 2 and 3, we just explained, how that goes into the dotted quarter note. And then we have the other half of beat 3. Does the second note not count? Wait. Let me go back here. Do you frequently do live streams? Yes, every Saturday, pretty much. 3.5. Does the second note not count? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure if you just popped in or not. Anyway, are you guys confused at all? Let me know any questions that you have. The last question I have for you on this, because this does map out 1 and 2 and 3 and then the last question I have for you is what kind of note can I use to finish out this measure? Because we only have 3 complete beats and we need 4. There's actually a couple of options. Let me know one of the options. How do I finish out this measure? And this is a really good exercise in thinking like logically and mathematically how these add up. Okay, the length of time they all take is 3 beats, not 4 cymbals. Exactly. Thank you, Finn. Exactly. Because these are worth half of a beat each, so they're not all worth 1 beat. Why is it 3 beats and not 4 beats? There are 4 notes. Very good question. So you might want to, when we are done here, try to follow along, with us as you can, because I like having people along for the live ride. But anyways, these 2 are worth 1 beat apiece. So that's why there's 2 notes there, and it only equals 1 beat, right? And now here, this 1 note here is actually worth 1.5 beats, right? So that's why it takes up 2 and 3, and then and. So what I recommend you do, because I can't explain it all in detail again, is when we are done here, if you're a little bit confused, I would go back and watch the beginning again of this live stream. I also want you, and I'll link it to you I think it's in the description already, but I'll try to link it to you before we finish today, of a video I want you to watch in its entirety. So we'll try to catch you up by the end. That's not a problem. Now, somebody said quarter note. That's perfect. Exactly. We can have a quarter note. We could also have 2 eighth notes, right? Because those would be worth 1 a piece. So there you go. And there's beat 4. So we finished out this measure. Playlist watchers. Yes. So I do have a playlist as well. I'll make sure I get you guys all the links you need before we finish. Okay, I think you guys are pretty much caught up now. I know we had some questions here. And then yeah, Zabros, just check out the beginning again and I'll try to catch you up you know. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's continue, guys. It doesn't look like we have any pressing questions right now. Now, the question I asked many minutes ago, and then I had to go on a sidetrack to really answer this well, or help you answer this question. And I'm only moving on until I get the correct answer. The question is, how many beats would a dotted whole note get? And I'll give you half of the answer right now. The whole note itself is, remember that open one, and it gets 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just adding a dot to that. Makes a lot of sense now, so thank you, Zabros. Not quite 2, but that's okay. I think once you watch the stuff again, you'll have all the right answers. So Finn is actually correct with 6, right? Because we have, oops, that's not the right thing. We have a whole note. Whole note's worth 4, right? I don't even know if it'll let me do a dotted whole note. No, it doesn't. So the thing I wanted to add is there actually is no dotted whole note. And that's because really the beats we have only goes up to 4. At least in 4/4, there's no dotted whole note. You might have one in like something really weird like 6/4. I guess you could have a dotted whole note. So yeah, you guys are all getting it right now. This is excellent. All 6s. Perfect. Yeah, so it gets 4 plus half of 4, which is 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. So good. I like asking those questions because you don't see dotted whole notes hardly ever. Like I said, they can only exist in a couple of time signatures, but it's a good brain teaser nonetheless. All right, guys, let's practice a few rhythms together, and then I have some things I want to wrap up the video with after that. But let's do 5 examples of some common rhythms, which, by the way, is definitely going to be a lesson coming up in the next few weeks about rhythm patterns. But let's do this really quick because I'm going to use this as an opportunity to introduce you to a couple of new things. So this is a common rhythm that you see all the time. And you may be like, well, Tim, you never even told me what this thing is. How am I supposed to count it? So this looks like Harry Potter's forehead, right? That lightning bolt. That was a really good joke, right? Anyway, you beat 1 here. And this is a quarter rest. And all you got to do is not play for 1. So all you're going to do to play this right is come in on 2, 3, and 4. So you're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. Now you got to be careful because what'll happen a lot is this. Let me change it a little bit. Thinks I'm doing something else. Okay, so now we have quarter rest, beat 2, quarter rest, beat 4. This is a mistake everybody's going to make. See if you can pick it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you may think like, oh, well, you hit it on the right notes. You hit on 2 and 4, but it was still massively wrong. Well, maybe not massively wrong, but mostly wrong, partially wrong. So when you have a rest, right, that means you're resting. You're not playing. There shouldn't be sound during that time because that's the whole point of rest. You'll find that music, when you learn more about music, it's not all just about notes, but the spacing in between notes, right? Because when I talk, I don't just talk and run on sentences where I just keep talking and I don't have any breaths between anything. I blah, 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 blah. We talk in sentences, period, where I do phrases, comma, and then finish them, period. You know what I mean? Like the rests are really the punctuation. Because without them, everything's just going to keep running until the end of the song, which might not sound too bad. But trust me that the silences... You know, they say silence is golden. You know, the silences are golden, right? So I messed this up because what I did was I said beat 1, I hit beat 2, which was correct. I said 3, but I didn't lit off of this. So that's the point I'm trying to make. You want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And you don't actually have to do this. I just do that to show you the rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It actually brings me to another point. When you are at the piano, you almost never want to move your hand for no reason. This is something that's going to get a lot of students, and actually I should really mention more in my lessons, because the tendency is once you play the note you're supposed to, and you have a rest, for some reason for beginners, they take their hand off and then they're like, like, where am I at? You really want to keep your hand in the same area if you can, and only move it if necessary. And you always want to keep your hands on the piano, and that's something I could really demonstrate a lot better, I think, as we move forward, because that's very important. All right, do you guys have any questions? So you should remove your hand. So don't remove your hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So don't remove your hand. I was doing it wrong, and that's why I was explaining that again. All right, let's explain. Let's review another one, shall we? All right, 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay. See, I even map this stuff out in my head when I'm writing it to make sure I got the right amount of beats. Anyway, here's something that's a little bit off that you will find in music quite a lot. And that is when you have, so these first two eighth notes are no problem. It's this second part that's going to be a little bit weird. Because normally we're used to hitting eighth notes on like each half of the beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and we usually have another eighth note on the second half of the beat to make things easy. However, on this second beat here, so here is beat 1, the second beat here is weird because this hits beat 2, but this is going to hit and 3. So it's shifted everything over a little bit. Now some of you may be asking, why does this only hit on beat 2? And not 2 and, which would complete the beat? Well, it's because we actually have a single eighth note here. So it shifts over, I mean, it doesn't actually shift over the beats, but it will shift over the way the beats sound. And I'll show you that in a second. Because like I said, we're really used to, when we hear things, hitting on beats 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is a little different. It's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Notice how it was like bump, 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 bump. It wasn't right on bump, 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 right on the beat. It was a little bit offbeat. That is what we call syncopation, or this is like the beginnings of syncopation rather. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Oops, I messed it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you have beats. And you have syncopation if you have like quarter notes hitting on the and, which is the second half of the beats. Let's see what we got here. We got a question from Zabros. What's the difference if the dot is beside or below the note? This is a really good question, actually. I'm really happy that you asked this question. Great question. So you may have noticed that at times there's a dot like below the note. Let me see if I can get this to happen. Usually like this. Yeah, there you go. See how there's a dot now below this and over here? Right? I drew a dot below the note. And the dots before we were talking about were beside the note. And they're very, very, very different, right? So this one was beside, to the right side. These are on the bottom or the top. And these are actually staccato notes. You count them the exact same, but you play them extra quick. You come off the piano extra quick. So this would be counted as like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I was like real quick off of that last note. And we'll talk more about staccatos later, but those do not, I want to tell you right now, if it happens above or below the note, the dot, it doesn't affect the note's value. You're still counting everything in time. If it appears to the right of the note, it is adding half of the note's value back to itself. So I know it's a little confusing, but you will catch on over time. Dot means 1.5 beats. It can mean 1.5 beats. This is I want to make this very clear. The dot in a quarter note equals 1.5 beats, right? But the dot really what it does is adds half of the note's value back to itself. So if you had a dotted, well, I guess we already talked about all of them, right? A dotted whole note, right? Whole note's worth 4. Half of 4 is 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. So you're on the right track there, though. It's like 1.5 of the note. So if you're using pedal, you're going to take your leg off too, right? Yes. So the Tech ID Nation, excuse me. I thought you were a member of the Will of D for a second. I watched too much One Piece. Anyways, Tech ID Nation says if you're using pedal, you're going to take the leg off the thing, right? And they are referring specifically to this, which is this one where we had the rest, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I was using the pedal in this piece, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm actually, when I hit, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I hit those rests, I'm off the pedal. So to answer that question, that's a really good question. Awesome. All right. Any other questions? Maybe we'll do one more example here. And then I have some announcements at the end, and then we'll continue on with our lives and our days. What should we do, guys? I'm trying to think, because I could give you a simple one, but I'm trying to think that's something that's like really practical that you're going to find. Let's do this. Okay. Now here's something you haven't seen before either. But again, this is obviously a rest, right? Because if it's a note, it's going to have a head and a stem, or at least in the whole note side, it's going to have at least you know what I mean? There's a circle part and then there's a line part. And this is a weird squiggle. So whenever you see weird squiggles, it's probably a rest, right? This time, this is an eighth rest. It's going to get half a beat, except you're not going to play. And these are actually very common to start out a pattern like this, like coming in on the second half of beat 1. So let's talk about what that means. Not sure what happened there. There we go. Okay, so now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Here's a bonus tip for you. You're playing this like in a band and you're waiting to come in. Always be cognizant of what beat of the measure you're coming in on, right? So I really go 1 and 2 and. So I really target that note. That's what I call attack points. And we'll talk about more about that later, the attack point strategy that I invented years ago. I seriously doubt I invented it. But anyway, it's all about thinking about what beat that you're moving the notes on. All right, any questions or anything, guys? I think that was pretty straightforward here today. I do have some announcements and some things I want to talk about to conclude. I mean, we have like 15 minutes or so to go. Make sure we get focused in here for that. Okay, so if you haven't been attending recently, we do live streams now on Saturdays, and we're going to have one next week. And then I have pre-recorded videos coming out on Sundays. And I have one, it's coming out tomorrow. I'm almost finished. I kind of hit some snags with it, but so there'll be a new video tomorrow. I'll be able to get that done today. I know it. I'm determined. So live stream Saturday, new video Sunday. Next week is going to be a live stream on Saturday. However, I don't think there will be a new video on Sunday of next week, just to let you guys know. But then moving forward, it's live stream on Saturday, video on Sunday. Live stream on Saturday, video on Sunday. Live stream on Saturday, video on Sunday. Unless something weird pops up, and maybe a few times of the year we'll take off a little bit for a vacay. Got it? Good. And now the next thing I want to tell you guys about, I think we're good. And again, let me know any questions you have about rhythm or playing piano while we're still here, and I will make sure I go over those. And then I got to remember, too, to get you guys a link on like what to watch next after this, because that's very, very important. But right now, hold up. I want you to show, or want me to show you. I want to show you. I can never talk. I want to show you my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, because there's over 20 courses designed to help you learn more about piano, music theory, improvisation, rhythm, ear training, and anything else you need to become a well-rounded musician. So unlike YouTube, where I just kind of like touch on a topic and then we move on to the next topic, the main benefit of these courses is that you have the opportunity to learn, practice, and master each topic, because not only do you learn new things that I teach you in the videos and the notes and the courses, but also you have an opportunity to practice those things with included worksheets, real sheet music to play, and assignments. And then you have the opportunity to master by continuing to review those topics throughout the course until the end. So it's a really more complete course type of thing. We also cover a lot more things that we cover on the YouTube channel. So there are courses if you are a beginner looking for a solid foundation, or you're looking to advance your skills further. We talk about more. There are courses, rather, I should say, that are geared for more intermediate and advanced students. And you can read the rest on your own. You know, you can use it with any device, things like that. I want to tell you about this. Course packages. I have 4 course packages. Now, you can sign up for courses individually if you want to, but I've organized them into these course packs because it's a lot easier for you, really, because you're like, oh, I'm a beginner, and I want all the courses I need as a beginner. Well, there you go. Here's the beginner's pack. And it includes 4 courses, and you're like, oh, I want to learn more about playing the piano level 1. What does it include? And here's a description of everything it includes, what you should be able to do, what you're going to be able to do at the end, you know, the songs you're going to be playing, so on and so forth, like that. Okay. And then there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you purchase the courses and either you get busy or you decide the courses just aren't for you, if you request a refund within 30 days, I'll give you one. Really, no questions asked. You just got to email me. And, you know, transactions are protected with SSL encryption and all that good stuff. So, yeah, check out the courses when you get a chance if you're really looking to take things to that next level or formulate that solid foundation to build on. You know, you can do it with that. And the last thing I want to tell you is there is a fall sale going on right now for my courses until October 20th. So they are discounted a little bit more than usual. And there's a bonus thing I want to tell you about. So say you're like, oh, I want this all course pack because I really love the content I'm saying and I really want to learn as much as possible. And of course, this is the best deal. But there's a bonus. See how there's an add coupon code thing? Type in YouTube and you can either hit enter or click on this. And boom, it takes an additional 15% off. So you're saving quite an amount there. And it's just like a thank you for coming by today, being a fan of mine. I give that code YouTube out to people that attend. Anyway, guys, any questions? Let's see if we have any questions here to finish out. Let's see here. Syncopation, nice. When the stem points downwards, does it mean something different? Tech ID Nation. This is a great question. You have the great questions today. I mean, everybody does. I felt like the questions today were pretty awesome. So somebody said, this is very important, actually, and I have a story behind this because I didn't understand this even when I got accepted into music school. And the first week of music theory class, I got my assignment back because we had to write passages of music and stuff. And I wrote the note stems all in the wrong direction. And I just got the paper back with red pen that said, learn about stem direction. And we're going to learn about it now. Okay. I didn't understand this for a long time, but it's super easy. So when notes are, I want you to notice this. Okay. Stem is up, stem is up, stem is up. Oh, stem is down. And now stem is down forever. So what happened? Well, when we reached this middle line here, the stem started to automatically point down. And the only thing this is about is to avoid spacing issues. Because say they had the line pointed down for notes that were really far down here, right, as an example. And say you had some bait. It's not going to do it. It's not going to like me doing this. But anyway, say you had notes going far down on the treble clef here. Oh man, no. See, it doesn't even like me doing it. It doesn't want me to do this. Notice how the stem now is running into the bass clef direction, and it fixed it now. So now these notes down here, the stem goes up. See how it goes up into the treble clef? Well, it's not conflicting with anything there. There's no more notes there or anything. However, if we had some notes up in the bass clef, like here, and the stems here were pointed down, it would mess up the bass clef. And then if you had notes like way up here, and you had a line up there, it would just look kind of silly, I guess. That's really the only reason I think the treble clef does it also. Maybe for consistency's sake, because the bass clef has to do that. But anyway, that's what it is. If the note is below the middle line, the stem points up towards the staff. If it goes above the middle line, or the middle line and above, excuse me, it goes down. Now, if you do this by mistake, this isn't a big deal. If you drew the middle line and you draw it up, it doesn't really matter. It's just the way it is. It's middle line and above is down, below that it's up. But if you did this, if you're writing your own piece and you drew this one like this, it wouldn't really cause any problems because it doesn't really go into anything. You know what I mean? That was a great question, though. Great lesson. Thank you, Michael. No, but it usually tells you what hand to use. Actually, you know what? You are correct. I forgot about that. Sometimes oh man, I don't know if I want to get into this today. Sometimes if you have, let me think about like what the scenario would be. Oh, that's so true. Because sometimes you'll have like, I need to find like an example for you guys. Maybe next time. Let me try to explain this though. Sometimes you'll have notes written in the bass clef. Like you'll have notes really far down on the bass clef. Maybe I can do this. Hold on. Maybe we can figure this out. How to do this. Sometimes you'll have some notes on the bass clef. Of course. Let's try this. Wait, this is better. Say you have these 4 notes with the bass clef. Oh wait, you can't even see what I'm doing. Say you have these 4 notes with the bass clef, and then you have some notes down here that go up. Right? And you're like, well, what's that about? These notes here, because they point up, they're going to be played with the treble clef, or sorry, the right hand. I need to find a real world example because I could explain it so much better. But as a beginner, I'm going to be honest, you're not going to come across that. That's stuff that I started to come across in music school, learning like sonatas and like, more larger scale pieces. You're going to find that with, or more intermediate, advanced type of stuff. Let's see. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. All right, guys. Any last minute questions or comments before we go? Always love to hear from new and returning students, of course. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, there is. Don't go yet. There is stuff. Let me get you some links. So let me go over to my computer here and grab you a few links because I promised. Yeah. So here are some things. So if you go in the description, all this stuff is here, but I'm going to give it to you in the chat as well because this is what I want you to watch next. $2025, that's the year. And there's, I think that's the right link. Let me click on it. Let's click on it, see where it takes us. Did I grab the wrong one? I grabbed the wrong. Dang, guys. I grabbed the wrong link. Let me grab you the right one. So just give me a second. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. I need to grab you the right links. I set it up wrong. Here it is. let's see, how to count. Here we go. Copy. There it is. Here's the real real link for that. Sorry about that. And then what I want you guys to do is, let me do this really quick, and then you'll be able to see me again at some point. Hold on. Beginner series here. Is this correct? Yes, this is right. Okay, good. And then actually what I'd like you to do is watch this entire series for beginners, and I'll tell you what that's about. Series for beginners. Yeah. There you go. I actually would just recommend you watch that second link I gave you right there. And both of these are in the description, by the way. I just want to make sure that you guys got them. Okay, so the second link I sent you, that is a new series, which it brings me to another point I want to make. It's a new series that I'm creating for beginners. This is, I think we're 4 videos in now. And basically what the series is it's aimed to introduce you to all the topics that you need to know as a piano player, at least the basic stuff, right? And I made one of these courses a very long time ago, and I was like, you know what? It's time to make a new one and make a good, like real good one. So that's what we're doing. There's going to be 8 total lessons in this course. I think lesson 4 is coming out tomorrow. So look forward to that. And then we'll finish out the course. And then what we'll do after this course is done is the next course. There's actually going to be another course. And each course as we go throughout the year is going to be a little bit geared more and more towards like intermediate, right? We're starting right from the beginning. And I'm going to take all you guys with us, you know, that are learning brand new now. We're going to take you to the next level. We're going to take you to the next level, you know, at least get you the blanket topics that you guys need to know about. So that's what I want to announce is that we're in a course. Watch the links that I posted in the description if you want to watch the whole course. Because if you're new, it's going to really make everything make a lot more sense. And you want to start from the beginning of that course. All right, guys, give a like on this video. It helps other people know that this is a quality lesson they can learn from as well. And also, I hear rumors that if you hit the like button, YouTube will serve my content up to you more often. And actually, if you downvote stuff, I shouldn't tell you this, but if you downvote stuff, it actually shows you the content less often, supposedly. So a long time I was told like it doesn't matter. But I think it does matter in that one thing. So make sure you like it. If it doesn't matter at all, at least lets other people know it's a lesson that they can learn from as well. So any questions before we go? I have a lot to learn. I can barely play while reading. So please watch that second link I gave you. It's in the description. Watch the entire series. Let's get you guys back here. Thank you, Tim. I now have a better understanding of the concept, tempo, and how to play notes. Well, that's great with a dot. Sylvia, thank you for coming by today. Live to play guitar. I've learned so much from you. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Do you have a book on how to count subdivisions of different time signatures? No, I don't. Oh, man. Subdivisions of different time signatures, huh? Like 6/8. We didn't touch on that a lot today. 6/8, things like that. The answer is no, but I'm going to think about, let me write your idea down and let me think on this. Yeah, I can't think of a book on the top of my head, but I think your idea is a good one to explore with maybe a video or just for me to think about. So let me write this down. I write everything down, guys. Actually, that's the one tip I have for you in life is as you go along, write things down. Okay. Your thing was subdivisions in different time signatures. That might be an interesting video to come out in a month or two. For now, I recommend that you check out a video I put out recently on 6/8 time signature. I think I touch on subdivision in 6/8 in that video. It's a recent video I posted. Let's do this. Hold on. Let me show you guys what I want you to do. No, quiet. All right. Sorry. Give me a second. All right, hold on. We're almost there. This computer's slow, man. I think I'm spoiled. Okay, let me show you what I want you to do. Okay. So here is my YouTube channel. You guys know it well. And what I want you to do is go to videos. And it was a while back. Here it is, how to count 6/8. We did it 3 months ago. So watch this video right here. I think it's going to answer some of your questions, but maybe not all of them. I'm not entirely sure about that one. All right. Wow. Is that like very consistent or more on and off? Wait. Let's see what you asked here. Well, we got a lot of questions here the last few minutes. Hold on. Just one comment before you go, Tim. I'm working on charity exercises and I find them challenging. Good. But I think my piano playing is improving because of it. That's very good. So don't go too quickly through the exercises. Make sure you're comfortable with the first exercise before moving on to the next, that sort of thing. And I think if you pace yourself, I think you'll do okay. But it sounds like you're getting something out of it, which is wonderful. Thanks so much for recommending these exercises. You're very welcome. I have a lot to learn. Okay, I read that already. Appreciate your time and generous sharing, says Jan. It's awesome. Have a blessed weekend. You too. Thank you. Let's see here. Emmy says 18 months of lessons, slow and steady, always wins the race. People used to say that I was pokey and slow as a kid because I was a kid that really went at my own pace, and I still am like that. Like, the one thing that really bothers me so much is when I'm next to somebody else and they're rushing me for no, they're like, well, why don't you get it done sooner? Or they're trying to micromanage me and stuff. And it's like, look, I work the best at Tim speed. Okay. Sometimes that's fast. Sometimes it's real slow. Okay. But I work at my speed and I want you to work at your speed too. So yeah, slow and steady wins the race. That's the point I was making, is that I'm slow and steady most of the time, but I always win the race. I'm just kidding. It's so stupid. Imagine that as a pickup line. Be like, I'm slow and steady, but I always win the race. I just think that'd be so fun to say. And then you get slapped and kicked out of the bar or wherever you are. Anyway, piano isn't my main. That's okay. I'm actually studying guitar. Very cool. I'm a Hanzo main myself. But I want to keep improving on other instruments. Very good. Just kidding. I'm piano main. Sometimes I like to pick Bowser. Bowser is really good at grabbing the characters and throwing them off the stage. I'm trying to make a Smash Brothers reference, but I'm getting too silly here at the end. I'm actually studying, but I want to keep improving other instruments. That's great. Overwhelmed by that Czerny because it's over 60 pages, but I take it slow. Good. Well, impressive. Okay. Oh, the sin of learning piano with synesthesia. Ooh. Live to play guitar. Thank you so much for the $2.75, a Canadian super chat. Really appreciate you very much. I need to start not begging for super chats, but we need to integrate super chats more into what we do here on the lives. Because one, it would help me to make more money to serve you guys, for once. And then two, I think we make it more fun. And I also see other live streamers that are real good at making the content more exciting. Oh, if we get a certain donation, I'll do something crazy. I mean, there's only so much, I can't really do anything too crazy. I was thinking this was an idea I had. This is not a promise. Okay. This is just an idea. Actually, this is not going to happen. So just I'm just trying to say it so it might happen, but probably not. It's just an idea in my head. I was thinking maybe I'll set a goal of how much to a donation goal, say $20. And if we reach the $20, I'll do a bonus. This isn't right now. Okay. This is an idea I have. If we get $20, I could do a bonus live stream on Wednesday or something like that. I think that would be cool, giving you guys like some bonus content. But that's not what we're doing right now. Like I'm just not in a position to promise anything like that yet, but that's just kind of an idea that I'm thinking it. Yes, monetize. Your content is worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we will work it in. I also don't like I like the channels that use it correctly to like get engagement up. I don't like when people like just beg for money. But that's not what we're doing here, so I think we're okay. Michael De Lima, thank you so much for the $2 Canadian super chat. Tim, this is great. Or Tim is great. Wow. Not even this is great. I'm great. Wow. I'm just kidding. I got to be careful. That'll get to my head, and then I'll be full of myself again. Really appreciate you, Michael. Thanks for coming by. And actually, I recognize any of you guys that have been coming here every week, like Michael, or most weeks. Like Michael, I recognize. What was her name? I think I might have seen Liv to play guitar before. Sylvia's been here a bunch. Yeah, Finn might have been here a couple times. Trixie has been here a bunch. So, you know, thank you to all the new and returning students. I think it's really cool that some of you guys are coming in each and every week. That was kind of the point of doing the live streams regularly again, is to get some of you, well, first of all, to help you, right? But also to get you guys like more involved with the channel and more involved with playing, and giving you more opportunities to ask me things and play on the keyboard and things like that. So love to see it. It looks like we're getting pretty successful at that. We got APB MES, thumbs up to you as well. This was my first. I did binge the playlist though. That's a great thing to hear too. So Finn, thank you for coming by. I thought you might have been new, but I wasn't quite sure. But I thought I had maybe seen you before. But that's great. I'm glad you binged the playlist. I love to hear that too, because it makes me know that it's worth it, that people are watching the playlist. And that's really what I want you to do. I want you to binge that playlist. I want you to watch all the videos. Maybe even more than once if you need. You know what I mean? So, excellent. That tells me my efforts are working. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by today. It's been you-know-who, your piano teacher, Tim, here. And I'll see you tomorrow for the video. Now, I'm like 99% sure this video is coming out tomorrow, but there is some things I need to work on to get it up to speed. But anyway, bye, guys. Have a good weekend.